Hi, I'm Sharon Lauricella, and I'm here to talk today about the online teaching community and how the scholarship of teaching and learning really thrives online. And I'm an associate professor at Ontario Tech University in Canada, and you can visit me through my website or my Twitter account. So I want to start by showing you an image of what teaching used to look like. And this picture makes us cringe now. And I think it makes us cringe partly because of the fact that there are so many people crammed into one room, and they're not wearing masks, and they're all breathing on each other, and they're touching their faces. So the other reason this picture is cringy, I think, is because this really is not what teaching looks like anymore. Most of our teaching is mediated through Zoom or Google Meet or online hosting platforms, and there's much less of the sage on the stage, professor at the front, student sitting passively. There seems to be a lot less of that as we engage in more creative pandemic teaching. So I want to go back to when this shift kind of happened. I think many of us in higher ed had been calling for a change from moving from the sage on the stage to a more collaborative and interactive teaching model. But last March was really kind of the impetus for this, because within days, most of us had to move our face-to-face classes that were traditionally or usually taught in classrooms with students sitting in chairs. We had to move all of that and scramble and literally overnight move them to online delivery because of the social distancing and health protocols associated with the COVID-19 pandemic. And this really was an emergency. This was not something that we really had time to prepare for. And we know that we just don't move a course online. You just can't really do that. Properly moving a course online can take months. It can even take years to do it properly, because really there should be some iterative process where we're thinking and reflecting and trying new things. So really moving a course online can take a very long time, but we were forced to really do that quickly and overnight in order to serve our students and our learning objectives. So what I want to focus on in this presentation is how faculty really turned to each other and turned to resources for help in doing what really was an impossible task in moving our courses online within moments, really. And I want to also think about the sustained changes that we've experienced in getting help, in having discussions, and the scholarship of teaching and learning, and how that is mediated through online resources. So before I go much further, I want to make a note about the difference between teaching with social media and learning about teaching through social media. There's a lot of discourse around using social media for teaching, using WhatsApp or Discord or Slack, these kinds of tools for teaching. And that's one thing, and that's one presentation. But what I'm talking about in this presentation is using social media for learning about teaching. How do we as academics and instructors use social media to help ourselves to connect with others? And how do we use social media to help our teaching and to learn about teaching? So answering the question, how do I even do this? How do I move my classes from face-to-face delivery to online delivery in a moment's notice? How do I do that overnight? How do I do that while I'm also playing the long game in teaching and learning? So this, I think, really is how a lot of us felt, and a lot of academics and instructors felt when we were moving our courses from a face-to-face delivery to an online delivery. A lot of people really had never taught online, and maybe at best they'd done kind of a hybrid course or some sort of online delivery in that way. I even know some faculty who've never even used our campus LMS. So how did people get their shift their help in that shift from going from a face-to-face to an online delivery. Nothing was open. You couldn't go to the campus teaching and learning center. You couldn't get anybody in their office. So how did we all do this? We pulled off this miracle. The teaching and learning centers, I think, really helped us with constant emails. Many of us were actually inundated with these offers of help to leverage the campus LMS, how to make videos, how to use Google Meet, how to use Zoom, even like how do you spend your money, your professional development money to buy a Zoom subscription. How do you use your budget to do things like this? And I certainly don't intend to downplay in any way whatsoever the role of the campus teaching and learning centers. They're the absolute heroes here in really holding people's hands through this. But I think there's another source at play in terms of getting help in turning our thinking toward online delivery and doing this impossible task. And that hero really is Twitter. And it's social media in general, but Twitter in particular. So before this pandemic, I think a lot of academics didn't have a Twitter account or didn't really have a work-related social media account even. And a lot of academics, I think, may have limited their social media presence to Facebook, where they post pictures of their kids or weddings or trips and stuff like that. But really, I think the role of Twitter in academia and in the scholarship of teaching and learning has changed so much. And I want to take a moment to address Twitter and its role in academic life. Social media now really is requisite. It's a requirement for scholars. It's really how a lot of scholars promote their research. It's how people meet each other online, people who are doing similar work. We're not limited to just interacting with people on our campus. We interact with people that we meet online, that we meet through social media, and particularly through Twitter. And the academic Twitter hashtag really is evidence in itself for this. So scholars went on Twitter and found best practices, advice, help, and most importantly, I would argue, a sense of community and a sense of sincere connection. And Twitter is different from other social media platforms because it's searchable. Instagram is very visual. I mean, Instagram is searchable as well through hashtags, but Instagram is all about pictures. Instagram is Instagram is the highlight reel of your life. And Facebook is about groups, and that's really helpful. Facebook has a group function where you can ask to join a group and get together with other people, and that's great, but you have to join and you have to be approved, and usually in some cases you have to be invited as well. But Twitter is searchable and it's open and it's public, and that part was really helpful in terms of finding immediate and urgent help. Hashtags bring people together for sure. And if you're new to this hashtag gig, people post on Twitter making tweets and place a hashtag in those tweets. So you could do hashtag academic Twitter or hashtag teaching or hashtag your university or something. So it means that you can go into Twitter and type in a hashtag. You could type in hashtag Ontario Tech and find things related to that topic or that place. And I'll give you some examples here of how this has really worked for academics in teaching. I did a search for academic Twitter, the hashtag academic Twitter, and it gives us top people, the latest tweets in hashtag academic Twitter. It can give you pictures and videos and so on. And so I've come up as a top person in academic Twitter. I have the academic Twitter hashtag in my Twitter bio. So that is perhaps why. And academic Twitter is really about a sense of community, connecting academics to each other and sharing our common struggles. So another hashtag that I searched for is hashtag online teaching. And again, one of my tweets came up because it got retweeted 53 times and got 446 likes. So you can search for online teaching, find people, you can find ideas, you can find threads that people are doing, and you can find instructions or tips if you search for the online teaching hashtag as well. Then I did a search for hashtag EdTech. And this is really a great hashtag in the academic community. You can find, again, people, you can find tools, you can find ideas, instructions. You can, even when you search for one hashtag, you can find other hashtags that you might be interested in. So Kyle here, I just screenshotted this, he hashtagged EdTech, but then he's also using other hashtags, and he cited other Twitter accounts in his tweet that then get people kind of reaching out. You go, oh, okay, I'm going to go check out, we got Tech Ed. I'm going to check out Book Creator App and other hashtags as well. This really gives people inspiration. It gives people direction, and it really gives people help, which is really important. So then I did a search for a Scholarship of Teaching and Learning. And look what came up, our conference that we're in right now. So, you search for Scholarship of Teaching and Learning, you can find new conferences, you can find new people who are tweeting on this topic as well. So the next thing I really wanted to talk about was moving from emergency online teaching to sustainable online teaching. And one of the things that I've really noticed is that's emerging in terms of the discourse around sustainable teaching is tweet chats. These existed before the pandemic, but we have a new role in helping people to learn in teaching and learning. It's also an important role in building community. The way most tweets work is that you send them out into the ether and then people consult them asynchronously. But with a tweet chat, people all get online at the same time and then all tweet about the same thing and hashtag it all at the same time. So there's like a big flurry of tweets, and then you can search for those later and see them later. So that's another thing that you can really look out for in these tweet chats. And a lot of them and the hashtags are rooted in the K-12 system, which really isn't surprising. But in the university system, we're focused on research, or in many cases we are, and at my university we are. But we can learn so much from the K-12 system and what these genius instructors are doing, and then adapt it to our university teaching. So here I'm suggesting some tweet chats. Hashtag EdChat is Tuesdays and Thursdays. This is a really big tweet chat that has lots of different topics. I participate in the ungrading tweet chat that's once a month on Saturdays. There's EdTech Chat, which is Mondays at 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern, North American time. So using tweet chats is such a great way of connecting with the Twitter community. So social media really came to the rescue for a lot of us. But the key thing to emphasize, that I want to emphasize here, is that instructors sought it out. Scholars in Twitter didn't happen because it fell in our lap. It happened because we reached out, because we connected with one another. We really made the effort. Tweet chats and hashtags didn't just come to us passively in our email inboxes. We went out there and tried to find each other. And we really created a sense of community. So at this point, I would argue that Twitter really is firmly established as a go-to venue for teaching innovation. This means new contemporary practices and studies on teaching and learning. So I really hope to see you on Twitter. And again, here is my contact information. I really hope to connect with you on Twitter and see you in some tweet chats, see you in my comments, and I hope to see you there.